Hi, my name is Martin Perhiniak. Welcome back to the digital art series here on PSD Touch Plus. Today we are going to talk about how to paint this creature, this monster, and I'm going to show you step by step from start to finish everything you need to know about this painting, and I hope you will learn some useful tips and techniques on the way. So let's get started. I'm going to show you a faster version of the whole process just to make it more interesting for you, but you will be able to follow what I'm doing. So as you can see, I'm working on the sketch first. I would like to come up with the pose and the composition, so I'm just quickly drawing these rough lines, and I'm always reworking areas that I'm not happy with. For example, in this case, the arm or the arms are not perfect, so I try to make it dynamic, the whole pose, but also at the same time make sure it works, so it looks like a real move or a real pose. Even though we are drawing a fictional character, it's always important to capture gravity and capture an interesting movement. So as you can see from that static pose which I started with, I changed my mind and I draw a completely different arm, left arm for the monster. Now it looks like it's reaching to catch something, probably at the hero or the knight or something like that, which won't be on this picture. And now I'm happy with the basic sketch, so I'm going to choose a couple of colors which will set my color palette, and I'm going to fill in the background with a color as well, just because I find it easier to draw on a darker color. In this case, that I'm going to draw this fire or lava texture and lights and colors, it's easier to draw on a darker color. And I also include some references which I also use to pick colors from, and also it's a good way to keep some reference imagery always next to your drawing, so that helps you to keep referencing from it. And you can see I already started introducing a couple of different colors, and I try to simplify the whole shape while I'm drawing in these colors. And as you can see, now I'm using, on top of the red, I'm using these dark blue and purple colors, and I'm using already the mixer brush tool to blend some colors together to create a more interesting subtle blend between these colors. So I'm mixing all these colors together, and I try to create that fiery effect on the whole creature. I intentionally chose this creature because I wanted to focus on using colors in this tutorial. So how to achieve a special effect to show fire with colors. You can see I'm adding that very bright highlight, the yellow color, and I'm going to blend all these together once again. It is still for the basement or the basis of my color palette, so I'm going to draw over and over the same image till I get to the point that I would like to show you in this tutorial. I don't want to create a completely photorealistic image in this case. I want to keep it as a concept, so just make it interesting and make it an easy read, so make sure you can see the monster in the final drawing or painting. So as you can see, I'm switching between the mixer brush tool and the brush tool. I'm only using these two tools in this tutorial, and sometimes the eraser tool, like now, just to refine my edges. And I will change the background color on the way several times. That keeps me a bit fresh on the whole illustration, so I can always work a little bit differently on the colors. And now I started to add some details around the mouth area, so I'm refining some details there. And I'm using this melting rock or lava effect to show the teeth of the monster. And I'm drawing in some highlights. Now I'm drawing in some dark details, shadows. It's almost black color that I'm using here. And I just saved the document. Don't forget to save your documents on the way. I usually save once I start to feel that it's going the right direction, and then once it's saved, I keep saving it in every 5 minutes. It's good to remember that because there's no autosave feature in Photoshop, unfortunately. So it's really good to make sure that you don't lose anything on the way. So you can see I'm drawing in more details, and I'm using dark details and bright details next to each other just to create the contrast and to emphasize the depth and form and shape of the monster. And all in all, I would like to achieve this fiery effect. So as you can see, I made it look like there's a burst of fire on the top and on the shoulder. So that's when the whole fire just comes out from the solid rock, because the further you can imagine, or we can imagine, that this creature, when it emerges from the lava, it starts to solidify, and that's why I'm using these colors like a gradient of colors. The further away the creature gets from the pond of lava, the darker the colors I use. But at the same time, on the top, on his back, and also on the shoulder, I wanted to make it look like the fire just bursts out from the inside. And you can see now it's start to get somewhere, this illustration. You can actually now see the expression, the whole head, and also the colors are getting there, but still there's plenty of work to do. We are roughly half time now of the whole illustration. It took me roughly 2 hours to finish this whole painting from start to finish, but this faster version that you see is only around 20 minutes. It makes it easier for you to see the whole process, but without skipping anything. So I show you exactly the way I was painting it. And obviously, if I would be able to spend more time on it, let's say 4, 6 or 8 hours, I would be able to refine it more. But for the purpose of this tutorial, you don't really need to see all that refinement. You can imagine the further you refine something, the more interesting and photorealistic it will become. You can see how I use the mixer brush tool to blend colors together and to create that interesting melting smoky effect. So the head of the creature is getting better and better the more time I spend on it, and I really want to achieve that rock, melting rock texture on the whole creature. So that's what I'm working on now, and the head is quite good now, so I will probably move on to other parts. I still work a little bit on the head, and I add some more smoke effect, and I'm blending them together. So I'm using default brushes from Photoshop for this tutorial, so I didn't make any custom brush. I will make a custom brush for the smoke effect at the end, but at this stage it's just the simple default brushes in Photoshop. And I wasn't happy really with the colors there on the neck, so I just changed them. And again, as I said, what I'm going to do is to change the background color several times just to keep it fresh. You can see I was turning it on and off, the before and after view. If you use the history panel, you can turn on an option under the panel's options that whenever you save, Photoshop creates a snapshot for you, which is really useful because then you can easily see before and after. With each save, you actually create a snapshot, so you can easily jump back and forth between those stages. I highly recommend to use this option. It's not a default option. You need to go to the history panel, and in the drop down you need to turn on to save snapshots with each save. Now you can see I'm using the red color just to make it look like under that black layer there's still that hot lava visible. I'm even adding some bright yellow highlights. And now I'm adding some more dark details just to create the contrast and to make these separate blocks even more realistic. And now I'm continuing adding some details, these teeth detail on the monster. Just emphasizing that melting effect even more. Now I'm using a separate layer and I use motion blur to create this effect, this sparkling effect, little particles, and I just use the move tool and drag and copy these images. Now I'm creating a custom brush from the same effect, and I just change the settings in the brush panel. Unfortunately, this is a bit too fast for you to follow, but you don't need to do exactly the same amount. You can experiment and you might be able to come up with something better than what I use here. Just make sure you learn about the brushes in previous episodes. There are 2 tutorials specifically about creating custom brushes, so all I'm using here you can learn from previous tutorials. I don't want to spend too much time on these techniques because we already discussed them before. So you can see now I'm working more on the arm and I would like to make it look realistic, so I'm blending the colors with the mixer brush and I'm refining the details. Again, I work a bit more on the body. I'm adding more details there. Now I turned off the background just to see on a white background. Sometimes it's also good to see on a very contrasting background what's happening in your painting. You can also flip your painting right and left so to see how it looks if you see the completely the other way. But in this case the perspective and the proportions are not that important because this is a rock monster, lava monster. There's not real proportions in this case, so it's more important to just find the colors and the color balance that we need. So So you can see I'm using the mixer brush again to blend that arm which is closer to the lava, or it's just coming out from the lava now. And I would like to emphasize more that fiery effect, but also at the same time make sure it's an easy read. Now I'm using I just used it a bit, the burn tool, but most of the times when you mainly work with colors, it's better to use different colors than the burn and the dodge tool. So now I'm continuing adding more detail to the drawing, and I just created the borders of this little hole or lava pond, and I'm adding more details again with the yellow color. So I'm using the mixer brush tool again to blend these colors together. And as I said, I want to keep the painterly style on this concept creature, so I won't make it completely photorealistic. Intentionally I want to keep it like this. I'm blending the colors again together on the top, and I'm drawing some details on the arm, the right arm. Again, using the mixer brush to blend some details together. And we are almost there. These are the final details that I'm working on now. So I'm describing the whole form with these little lines. It's a great way to help to describe the 3D shape of the whole creature if you use those little lines. I'm adding more atmosphere around the eyes, make it look like it's glowing. Now I turned off the background. I just again used the history panel to see before and after. And now I'm going to create the smoke effect. So for that I'm using purely the brush panel, and I'm setting up this smoke brush. I'm using scattering, I'm using transfer options, and I'm drawing on a separate layer. So as you can see, I'm experimenting with this brush, but I'm not happy with the result yet. So I'm going to tweak it a little bit more, and I try to come up with the solution. I'm using Gaussian blur as well to blur the smoke. As you can see, I came up with something like this. It's not perfect, but it works well. I just placed it behind the monster, so the smoke effect is there, but it's not that distracting. And now I'm going to concentrate a bit on the bottom area, so I'm adding this darker rock detail and some little parts, rocks on the right side. And I try to capture the whole lighting scenario by using the light source, the monster itself as the light source. I'm using the brush tool, and I'm again mixing the colors together. Draw some little particles just jumping out from the lava, and drawing some more color detail in the whole image. Darkening the back of the monster, and we are almost done. I just refine a little bit those rocks in the background. I'm using the eraser tool to make it a bit more random, and that's all what I wanted to show in this tutorial. So I hope you learned some new techniques from this. Mainly in this tutorial, what I wanted to focus on is to quickly come up with a sketch, and from that sketch, just by using different colors, how to create an interesting concept creation. And you can see that the final result can be much better if we spend some more time on it, but that's the result that I was looking for. So thanks a lot for your attention, and I hope you will join me next time.